All right, cyber traders, we are back this Tuesday afternoon, August 17th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And welcome on back. For what? For our afternoon meeting. Great to see all of our students inside our live trading room. Chuck, Norman, Tony, Doyle, William, Kathleen, Bonnie, Ray, got Gary up top there, and all of our students and trial members alike joining us here for today. And if you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back, as always. So, to begin, got a stock that's up right now, and it's moving up. It's down across the day. CLSK Clean Spark. I think the news out on this was just simply earnings. I could be wrong. Just curious enough to double check. I forgot what it was from the morning at least, but this was a stock I ended up taking the time to kind of prep for heading into the market open. I didn't really trade it much heading into the day up until right now. I ended up catching about 15 cents off a pop from 11.50 just right before we started the meeting, in and out quick. But for right now, I mean, hey, this stock looks really strong on the way up. Like I'd said, it was making a bit of a dead cat bounce going into the meeting. Yeah, so CLSK, they ended up reporting quarter three earnings. Their EPS missed the estimate. Then their sales also missed the estimate. I don't know if there's any guidance, in line with that title, but nonetheless, we ended up seeing a nice bounce here. And for what it's worth, I don't mind at least putting this on our main list to begin. If we build up a really good list and this doesn't look as good at the end, then we'll kick it off. But right now, smooth sailing on the way up. I would watch that 11.50 to see if it retraces back to that price. All right, but otherwise, though, we ended up just finishing up our Traders Talk workshop. That's our weekly Q&A workshop that we host inside our trading room every Tuesday morning. For all of us in social media, feel free to go right down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started on a small trial. We do this every Tuesday morning inside our live trading room. For all of our members there right now, that recording should be on the student dashboard after 4 o'clock. I'll put it up there as soon as the market closes, really. But you can go back to the last week's edition of Traders Talk, the week before that. We categorize them monthly, but that's right there on the student dashboard for all of us there, like Norman and Chuck. But otherwise, again, if you're on social media, hey, feel free to join us, daily inside our trading room, and weekly on Tuesdays we do that workshop. But in that workshop, we ended up going over a bunch of stocks from the morning, right? We talked about the LMFA. This thing is a bust now. Ended up making a bit of a bounce, at least earlier, from the levels that we talked about. I got in from 516 here, got out with like 15-cent profit, but it's to say this stock did not perform nearly as well as we wanted it to, from pre-market. It was trending down leading into the open. And aside from that one bounce, and perhaps a bounce from 5, but that took a while to get going in a very low volume time of the day. So I didn't get it from 5, but maybe that could have led to a nice little move there. But yeah, the LMFA trade from the morning, the NAOV trade from this morning, the SESN trade from this morning, all ended up moving pretty nicely, at least after the open. But right now, all of them are kind of exhausted. The SESN trading 142 million shares just about right now. Granted, it's still trying to coil up, maybe making a higher low, and perhaps if it could re-break 152, maybe that could lead to a new little move up. But again, it doesn't really seem like it's going to do that just yet. I'm kind of just shooting from the hip with like a small prediction, but perhaps if it does that pop, we'll come back to it at the end. Now, the real stock that we ended up doing extremely well on today, and it was running up as we were finishing up the Traders Talk workshop, that is the VRPX. Now, this stock was an on the morning watch list, right? If you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, as soon as we finished up the morning meeting here today, like right after 9:10, 9:15 in the morning, one of our students had called this stock out at the time saying, hey, this stock is, making a nice little pop up in pre-market. And sure enough, it was. So we really ended up following this VRPX, like really as soon as the meeting finished up, heading into the market open, it was essentially on our watch list. So this stock ended up making a hell of a move up, but ended up re-breaking higher later on. And as I had said, that was like right during our Traders Talk workshop. I didn't have a chance to really analyze that or go over that trade as much with you folks inside the trading room, just because we were going over all the other moves from the morning. So, to go over this trade very briefly, this stock ended up having big resistance off of 10, but really we ended up seeing a lot of buying coming in right off of 9 when it ended up re-breaking above $9. This is right around 11:15 in the morning. Notice the volume spike here. This is exactly the point where it rebroke resistance at $9. So it's to say that, of course, it bounced up, prior to that, test of resistance. But once it broke above that resistance at 9, and once we saw more buying, that was it. Of course, it broke out from 10 later on, ended up getting halted a couple of times throughout the course of the day. And normally, I'd say when a stock gets halted on the way down, that's typically game over. That's a wrap. So that's what happened right here. Stock was moving up and up and up. It was breaking above 16, ended up kind of falling back below 16. And hey, if that's such a big level, then we should see a pretty big move shortly after that level break. Well, we said it in Traders Talk, not in reference to this stock, but hey, this stock made a really big move, right? That happens, but it obviously didn't continue, right? This stock actually reminds me of the SESN trade back from Friday of last week. Not to go too far off course here, but before that stock got halted and got crushed 86% off the FDA response letter, look what happened. We were trading the stock on the way up in the afternoon that Friday, ended up popping above 6. I told you folks in Traders Talk about this move that I took. I went in and out from 6. I took a dinky loss, but imagine if I didn't set my stop. Imagine if I didn't get out where I should have. So it's not like I'm expecting the VRPX trade to gap down 86% like that one did, but it's just to say after a pop and drop and it flattens out, you can't keep expecting the stock to just move up and up and up. It ended up tanking. Now at this point, I don't know if it's as likely to continue its move up. It broke out above 9, and that was the all-time high, at least leading into the day. And once it cleared that, that was it. So maybe we'll come back to this trade at the very end, the VRPX trade. If it ends up showing more signs of life on the way up, then maybe we'll throw it on there at the end. All right, so obviously that's number one, the top percent gainer right now, up over 235% and counting. But let's go from top to bottom now and see what else we got. The WDH trade, I saw Norman call out earlier, and from his call, it was decent, but ended up snapping back down really fast after. Stock had very thin volume on the book, thin tier sizes on level 2. So for a stock that normally trades like extremely low volume per day, less than 500K per day, I'd even say 3.9 million shares is quite a lot. It's already made a big move up. It hasn't totally dumped off yet. Maybe I'll come back to this at the end, kind of round out the ones on our side list and kind of cherry pick them at the end. But yeah, I'm not fully sold on this one just yet. The ALF also, much like the VRPX, was a huge runner from this was from the afternoon, like literally as soon as we finished up Traders Talk at 12 p.m. Eastern time. This one ended up popping up on our radar. I think one of our students, I want to give credit where it's due. Maybe Franny, maybe Lynette. I apologize in advance, but nonetheless, one of our students had called out the ALF trade. I think it was Franny, and it made a really nice pop. So thankfully, we were really able to take full advantage of this run up here. Ended up breaking above resistance off of 8 or re-breaking it, and from that point took off all the way up towards 10 and above. This stock we are really familiar with, at least myself, Fausto, a lot of our longtime students here, and even if you're not a longtime student, perhaps if you've been with CTU for longer than a couple months, then you would know this stock. This stock we did really well on going back into mid-June. Ended up popping off of news from 5, ran all the way up towards 20, 22 bucks there. So I say it all the time with a stock like ALF, with a stock like VRPX. If we see a stock make a really big move, recently or, a month ago, a couple months ago, whatever it may be, former runner, if we could even see a fraction of the type of run that the stock made previously, then that's a huge success. So to see this stock go from 5 to 22, back down, we knew at some point in time that we would be trading the stock again. It's not as if every day we type up ALF and look at it, but if it pops up on our gainers list, if there's news coming out, then of course we'll be more keen and excited to trade it, just given what it had done for us in the past. But yeah, made a really nice pop today. And right now, actually, as I'm flapping my gums here, it's actually pushing back up, made a higher low. Back over 950 for right now. Ooh, this is looking pretty interesting. All right, so I guess for right now, this will make the cut. Let's make the main list here alongside the CLSK I put on there so far. All right, so we keep it going here. The ARPO, another stock that we did pretty well on from today. I ended up missing the move up. If anything, I ended up catching the short on the way down. I ended up going short from 263, I think it was. I wanted a better entry, but ended up getting filled at 263. It was a clean trade. Ended up dropping back down to 250. I ended up going in and out a bunch of times here because I was expecting support to hold. It didn't. I thought it would drop. It didn't drop right away. So I was taking a couple of losses in there, like -2, -2, -1. And, those are bigger share size positions given the price of the stock. So you got to be careful with that. I ended up shorting it one more time below 250. I ended up getting out at 243. And after that, I stopped trading it. So I don't know. For right now, it's possible it can keep dropping this ARPO stock. I saw a huge iceberg order at $2.30 earlier today as a support. Actually, level 4 is showing that right now on the trade still. That's why I made that call out inside the live trading room. Hey, I wanted ARPO to drop down to 230-ish. Clearly, it did not, or at least just yet. There's still time, but I'm not in this trade right now, and it might just be too slow for us at this point. So we keep it going here. XYF, I thought, was also a former runner over the last year. Yeah, it ended up popping up right around the same time ALF, actually. I don't know if they're related, but this stock trading like really little volume across the whole day today, less than 500K right now. So that's not really too tradable for us. 23andMe had earnings today. I saw that pop up nicely earlier. We had made the call out at that point. I mean, hey, the market dropped off today, so not a whole lot that typically should be on the gainers list right now. Outside, probably some of the inverse tickers. This LU stock, relatively new IPO. I guess that had a nice run up today. I don't know if that's earnings based or what. It is right at the highs, but right now the stock just looks completely flat. Volume really died off from the last run up here as it was, filling volume off of 850, probably 851 a little bit there, but yeah, right now I'm not fully sold. You'd like to think I would put this stock on our list right away with it at the highs, but it's just completely dead right now. It's been flat for the last hour. All right, I'll tell you, that's just about it. I got VXX and ETF though, right? We don't really trade ETFs as frequent, but I saw it up 6.5%+. Making a push back up here, so that means the S&P and the indices all together beginning to top off and pull back. All right, let's hop over to the losers list right now, folks. See if there's anything looking just as good, if not better. There should be. A bunch of stuff hard to borrow to begin, but a couple stocks down enough. Maybe I'll check it out. It's garbage. HLBZ, KBNT. I mean, these are just trading less than 1 million shares right now, so that's actually really light volume. View trading just about 5 million shares. It's near the lows, but it's hard to borrow. And otherwise, it's like too slow right now. It's not really moving around too much. Geez, this losers list so far looks pretty busted. The FLGC trade, if this was shortable, I'd definitely say keep it in mind, and even more so from the morning, of course. For a stock that ran up from 5 all the way up towards 15, it ended up, running up really nicely yesterday early in the morning, up towards like 20 practically. Ended up coming right back down though, broke lower obviously this morning. This is a good stock to keep on your side list going forward, just given the recent run up here, the fact that, more days than not, this stock was trading over like 10 million shares per day. So, as long as the spreads remain relatively contained and order book filled in, this would be a good stock to keep on your side list, at least if you're more of a level 3 trader. SMFR, not a whole lot happening there. CLSK tanked or nosedive, says Norman. Oof, yeesh. Yep, that's right. Ended up topping off practically where we left off with it here in the meeting. Ended up coming back down just about 50 cents. I'm going to keep it on our list. I mean, Norman just made a post based on what it did, right? I mean, but I'm not going to take it off our list just because it dropped. This stock is shortable and coming off bad earnings. So if it's not going to continue to pump up, then perhaps it's going to make its move back down towards 11 and break below that point heading into the close. GAN shortable, trading 2 to 3 million shares right now, so really tradable, but kind of flat. Not a whole lot really happening here over the last hour at least. So pass on that. Let's see what else we got. Damn, everything else is hard to borrow. TME, 10-cent music, right? They were down big today, and they're pulling back right now. Is this stock at all-time lows? I think they are. Just got to double check here. Yeah, so TME, I mean, we've been trading this stock over the last like 6 to 7 months at this point, really, since I forgot the specific news. It was with the China government, though, and so many different stocks got hurt by it. IQ, TME, Viacom, I think at the time was one of them, if I'm not mistaken. So there was a whole bunch of stuff going on, about 4, 5, 6 months ago. And from that point, we've been following this stock since. And with the stock near the lows of the day today, the all-time lows at that point, I'll put it on our main list here. TME, it might be a little slow, but more of a level 1 to 2 trade, at least for right now. All right. I'll go back to VRPX for one of us on YouTube right now. RS just asking for an analysis on that. We gave that just before. I'll come back to it though in just a moment. LX or ABUS from Joe H inside the trading room. So in terms of direction, in terms of spread, in terms of price, this stock is tradable. But right now, Joe, I'm going to pass on it for the following reason, and we'll talk more about this just throughout class, throughout coaching, and just being a member in this room. The stock's trading about 1 to 2,000 shares per minute right now. That's very light. So very liquid order book, and safe stock, but little slow and not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute. However, your second call out, Joe, on ABUS, this one looks really nice. Not just in terms of the trend, not just in terms of the price, the order book, the spread. Look at this number. Compare it to LX, right? So clearly ABUS is not only moving, but it's moving off of a lot of volume getting filled per minute. So definitely great call. This was climbing up the gainers list as we were going down it. So yeah, ABUS, great call here. VRPX, that is not looking too good. I told you just before, I mean, hey, I'd come back to it at the end, but if you're just joining us a bit late right now, RS, I'd mentioned that when a stock gets halted on the way down, like, I don't like giving fixed numbers on this because this statistic is not true, but let's just, exaggerate perhaps. I mean, it might be right, but, 95% of the time when a stock gets halted on the way down, game over. That's a wrap. So, I mean, hey, the stock was breaking all-time highs today, so it's possible that it could have made a bounce after, and it did. Just dropped off quite a bit right now. If this ends up popping over 1450, in the next hour and 10 minutes, then we'll call it out live inside our room. But for as much as this ran up today and the top off just before, I wouldn't expect it to at first. From Mitch on YouTube, welcome back, Mitch. Yeah, this ENVB for right now is similar to ABUS. Just making a really nice pop right now, trading a lot of volume per minute. Stock's up 15% already. Looks like this stock may have been split over and over and over. I don't have the reverse split history on this trade, but just if you go back on the weekly chart, the monthly chart, I don't believe that this stock was around like even here 120, 130, 150 bucks. I don't think that's the case. I think that's just a little issue with my TradeStation chart there. This stock has been split likely over and over across the years. So anytime you see a stock like that, it goes one of two ways, right? As does literally any other trade out there. But it's to say, this stock, with it being split over and over, if there's any sort of good news that comes out on it, it could lead to a massive, massive short squeeze to where the shorts cover, us day traders buy, pumps the stock up. But if it doesn't do that, or after it does that, rather, if the volume begins to die off, meaning looking at the volume traded per minute here, if this, very sharply drops off, you got to be careful. Although this stock has a liquid order book, once that happens, and if the stock drops, more times than not, it ain't coming back. Look what happens here back in the midway point of last year. This is the month. This is a weekly chart right now, just to show. But obviously, in the same week, pop and drop here. Same thing. Probably opened the week really strong. Probably on a Monday, really hot. Popped up nicely and then dumped right back down. So you got to be careful on these types of stocks, right? But for right now, the ENVB, great call. Yeah, I like this one, at least in terms of where it stands right now. All right, so I think that just about wraps it up, folks. Today is Tuesday, not Wednesday, so I'll get to my Bitcoin analysis, my little blurb on Bitcoin going into Wednesday of this week tomorrow. I think that just about does it, though, right? I'll check Benzinga Pro one last time. If I have it up, if I can load it up. There we go. So I'll show the signals page here. And we talked about this in class yesterday, just talking about it like a service like this that can give you real-time updates at the highs of the day. TVTX at the HOD right now. That's a stock that we had on our watch list from yesterday in the morning, right? It's pushing up pretty nicely. I mean, hey, we had it on our list yesterday. It's up 9% right now. Tier size a little thin, and the spread's likely going to fluctuate around a bit. But yeah, I like this for the meantime. TVTX. There we go. All right, so folks, that about wraps it up for me here for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, as each and every day. I appreciate you sticking with me in the afternoons at least. If you haven't had the chance to join us live inside our trading room, feel free to do so. Go right down to the link on the banner below just to get yourself started. For all of us there right now, I'm going to jump off the mic very quickly. I'll be back on later at 3:30. I know that Rich will be on very shortly in between to sub me out, but otherwise, though, folks, we have a good list: CLSK, ALF, TME, ABUS, and TVTX. But aside from that, if there's anything else that we see pop, drop, make a big move off of news or whatnot, we'll call it out. We'll try and work together as a team and see if we can capitalize on it. All right. All right, folks. I'll talk to you all soon coming up. Take care.